Everyone was invited to my cousin's wedding, except me. My own mom looked me in the eye and said I'd spoil her day. Do you know what that feels like? To be erased from your own family like you're some stain they're embarrassed to show the world? My hands were shaking as I stood outside the decorated venue, watching everyone dressed in expensive gowns, sipping champagne, laughing like nothing was wrong. And me? I wasn't even allowed to step inside. Before I go further, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe, because what happens next will make your blood boil and your heart race at the same time. The worst part wasn't the ban. It was watching my mom's proud smile as she stood beside my cousin, introducing her to rich friends, pretending I didn't exist. I caught her eyes once, just once, and instead of guilt, she smirked, like she had won some invisible war against me. My brother whispered to my aunt, "Good thing Meghan's not here. She'd ruin the pictures." The words stung so deep, I almost wanted to scream right there in the parking lot. But here's what none of them knew. For years, while they mocked me, while they shut doors in my face, I had been working on something in silence, something powerful enough to change the entire family's future. And that night, standing outside like an unwanted guest, I realized one thing. Soon, they would all regret ever underestimating me. Because the wedding they thought was their moment of glory? It was about to turn into my stage for revenge. I stood there, my nails digging into my palm, watching the chandeliers sparkle inside the hall through the glass doors. My cousin Emily walked in with her designer gown, and people clapped like she was some celebrity. Meanwhile, I was treated like the family's dirty secret. My mom had made it crystal clear. "You're not coming inside, Meghan. You'll spoil the mood. People will ask questions and you don't fit the picture." Her words haunted me, replaying in my head like a cruel song. I wanted to collapse, but instead, I clenched my jaw. Because while they thought I was some failure, barely surviving paycheck to paycheck, the truth was very different. For the last 4 years, I had been building a business silently, late nights, countless rejections, sleepless weekends, working on my laptop while they laughed at me during family dinners. They thought I was jobless, weak, and dependent. But the irony? The wedding venue itself was booked through a chain of event spaces that my company secretly owned. The champagne they were sipping, the flowers they admired, even the lighting above their heads, it was all paid for by me. They were celebrating inside a palace I had built brick by brick, and none of them even knew it. I pressed my back against the cold wall, taking deep breaths. A part of me wanted to storm in, announce everything, and watch their fake smiles melt off. But another part whispered, "Wait. Let them humiliate you more. The deeper they cut, the harder your revelation will sting." And just when I thought things couldn't get worse, the doors opened, and my sister, Grace, stepped out. Her heels clicked against the pavement as she spotted me. She smirked, holding her glass of wine, and said, "Wow, Meghan, you actually showed up. How pathetic. Didn't Mom tell you? Nobody wants you here?" She looked me up and down, judging my simple dress like it was trash. "Maybe if you actually had a life, someone would have invited you." Then she walked back in, leaving me burning with rage. At that moment, I knew this wasn't just about a wedding anymore. It was about years of being silenced, years of being underestimated. And I decided I wasn't going to stay outside much longer. If they thought I'd quietly disappear into the night, they were in for the shock of their lives. Because what was about to happen inside that hall would flip the entire family upside down. I finally stepped away from the wall and pushed open the glass doors. The scent of roses and perfume hit me instantly, and all the laughter seemed to freeze as people's heads turned. My mom's smile vanished the moment she saw me. She marched over in her glittering gown, gripping my arm so tightly it hurt. "Meghan, what are you doing here?" she hissed. Her teeth clenched, but her voice dripping with fake sweetness for the guests watching. "I told you to stay outside. Don't make a scene." I looked her dead in the eye and whispered, "Oh, trust me, Mom, the scene hasn't even started yet." Her face stiffened. But before she could pull me away, my cousin Emily spotted me. She rolled her eyes dramatically, loud enough for half the hall to hear. "You actually came? Oh God, please don't ruin my wedding with your tragic presence." Laughter broke out from a few relatives standing nearby. My uncle shook his head and muttered, "Some people just can't accept they're not wanted." The humiliation hit me like a slap, but instead of backing down, I smiled. A calm, dangerous smile, because while they were busy mocking me, the wedding planner rushed up to me in a panic. "Miss Parker, the lighting system is flickering again. Should we proceed with your backup?" My mom's eyes widened. "Miss Parker?" she repeated, confusion spreading across her face. My cousin Emily frowned. "Wait, what's going on?" I turned slowly, letting the silence stretch. "Oh, I guess no one here knows," I said, my voice steady. "The venue you're standing in, the champagne you're drinking, the decorations you're taking selfies with, it's all part of my company. Yes, mine. And tonight, every bill tied to this event leads straight to me." Gasps echoed across the hall. My aunt nearly dropped her glass. Emily's jaw went slack. My mom's hand slipped from my arm like she had touched fire. For the first time in years, they weren't mocking me. They were speechless. But instead of stopping there, I leaned closer to my mom and whispered, "You wanted me to spoil the day? Don't worry, Mom, I'm just getting started." And then, with the entire crowd watching, I walked straight toward the microphone on stage, ready to drop a revelation that would turn their celebration into chaos. The room went dead silent as I walked up the steps to the stage. The band stopped mid-song and all eyes locked on me. I could feel my mom's glare stabbing me from across the hall, her hand clutching her pearl necklace like it was the only thing keeping her alive. Emily, in her wedding gown, hissed at the planner. "Why is she up there? Get her off the stage." But no one moved. Everyone was too stunned, too curious about what I was going to say. I grabbed the microphone, my voice steady, though my heart pounded like a drum. "First of all," I said, scanning the hall, "thank you all for being here tonight. You're not just here to celebrate Emily's wedding. You're also standing inside one of my biggest accomplishments." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some relatives leaned closer, whispering in disbelief. I continued. 4 years ago, while my family called me lazy, a failure, and a burden, I was working quietly. I invested every cent I had into a small event planning idea. I spent nights eating instant noodles, skipping birthdays, working until sunrise while my mom told everyone I was wasting my life. And today, this hall, this entire chain of venues across the state belongs to me. The crowd erupted in gasps. My brother's wine glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. Emily's perfect smile twisted into panic, like someone had ripped her crown away. My mom tried to shout, "She's lying! Don't believe her!" But right then, the head manager walked up, bowed slightly, and said into the mic, "She's not lying. Miss Parker is the sole owner of this venue and every contract tied to this wedding. Without her approval, nothing here happens tonight." A wave of shock hit the hall. My mom's knees nearly buckled, and Emily clutched her groom's arm like she needed support just to stand. I let the silence linger, then added, "So when my mother said I'd spoil the day if I showed up, she wasn't wrong. Because I'm not here to just attend. I'm here to remind every single person who mocked me, who called me worthless, who erased me from this family, that I am not only surviving, I am thriving. And tonight, your laughter stops with me." The audience was frozen, half in awe, half in horror. I looked at Emily, who was trembling in her gown. "Congratulations on your wedding, cousin," I said, my voice sharp as glass. "Enjoy it while you can, because from this moment on, things are going to be very different." And before anyone could react, I dropped the microphone, the sound echoing like thunder, and walked off the stage, knowing the storm I had just unleashed was only beginning. The hall erupted into chaos the moment I stepped off the stage. Relatives rushed toward me, half of them with disbelief, the other half with sudden, fake admiration. "Meghan, sweetheart, we always knew you'd do something great," my aunt gushed, her tone dripping with desperation. Just yesterday, this same woman told my mom I was dead weight. I looked at her and said calmly, "Funny, I don't remember you cheering me on when I was eating canned soup just to pay my bills." She froze, her smile cracking like broken glass. Emily stormed down from the stage, her veil trailing behind her, fury in her eyes. "You're ruining everything!" she screamed, her voice trembling. "This is supposed to be my day." I met her glare with a calm smile. "Oh no, Emily, this is still your day. But you should thank me. Without my company, you wouldn't even have a wedding venue to stand in." Laughter broke out from a few guests who were enjoying the drama. Emily's groom tugged at her arm, whispering, "Calm down." But she yanked away, humiliated. My mom tried to salvage her pride, rushing toward me, her voice sharp. "So what if you own some buildings? That doesn't change who you are. You're still the same failure you've always been." Her words cut deep, but instead of shrinking, I pulled out my phone. With a few taps, the projector screen behind the stage lit up, showing slides of every milestone my company had achieved. Multi-million-dollar contracts, partnerships with luxury brands, expansion into 3 states, my logo stamped across the screen glowing brighter than the chandelier above. Gasps filled the room. I turned to my mom, my voice steady but heavy with years of pain. "You spent years tearing me down, telling everyone I'd never be anything. Tonight you wanted to erase me from this family's memory. But here's the truth, Mom. You don't get to define me anymore. Not you, not Emily, not anyone." Her face crumbled, and for the first time, she had no words. Then I faced the crowd. To everyone here who laughed at me, ignored me, or looked down on me, you'll remember tonight as the moment everything changed. Because the girl you pushed aside, the one you thought didn't matter, now holds the keys to your future. The silence that followed was electric. I walked toward the exit, my heels echoing against the marble floor. Heads turned, whispers followed, but no one dared to stop me. Just before leaving, I looked back one last time and said, "Congratulations again, Emily. I hope your marriage lasts longer than the respect people here had for me." And with that, I pushed open the doors and stepped into the night air. For the first time in years, I felt free. They had mocked me, shunned me, erased me. But tonight, I had taken everything back, and more, because sometimes the best revenge isn't yelling or fighting. It's walking away knowing you've already won.